Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 Reforged update. Yesterday on May the 19th, we had an update. Thank you, chat. Yesterday we had an update where Blizzard said that they are still committed to work on Reforged. Who would think any different? And that they have a team to deliver us multiple features. It is quite a verbose update. I would most like to actually focus on the PTR patch notes that were just released today on Thursday the 21st of May. But the short summary of the developer update is that they are working on fixing the desyncs. They have MMR, which we kind of already knew. For one-on-one, they're going to prioritize longer search times if necessary for high-level players in order to have better quality matches. It will remain global matchmaking, which means ping can still be an issue. For team games, they recognize that the MMR is going to be a little bit different. Basically, there's going to be race-based MMR. There already is. They also point out that on May 4th, they've already made a change that makes high-ping matches more infrequent, more rare. So you should have 60% of the time, something like that, better matches. And there's also going to be AT based MMR as well, which means when you're playing together with a pre-mate, a friend, or, well, anyway, a teammate. I don't know if you're friends. For free for all, they're going to keep the system where the first place gets the most MMR adjustment and the second place the next most. So no longer will there be one winner and 3 losers. But there'll be a winner, a second place, a third, and a fourth. I haven't read anything about their intent to anonymize player names as it used to be in the old Warcraft 3. And that's pretty much it for now. Stay tuned. And they said that they're going to have a PTR balance update this week, which is, of course, the week of 18 to 22 May. And that's what we have here. I have not any idea, actually, what is going to be in here, which wasn't always the case, but I have not been consulted on this one. So let's see what happened here. The PTR notes are work in progress and will be updated with further changes before the release of patch 132.6. This balance patch has a few different goals in mind. For heroes in general, we're looking at the costs and sometimes the functionality of hero ultimate abilities to make them a bit more competitive with a hero's baseline abilities and mana pool. Items are another big area of this patch. Charged level 5s and 6 are getting a shake up to see if we can encourage more usage of these categories going forward. Additionally, we want to support mapmakers' future endeavors by doing a balance pass on the units provided by Mercenary camps. Of course, at the moment we only use the green Mercamp, which offers Forest Troll Berserker, the Troll Priest, Ogre Mauler and Mud Golem. The others typically have been quite imbalanced in Warcraft 3. Sometimes there's something that gives Frost Armor, or Rejuve, or it's a flyer. So apparently they're going to look at that so that maybe in the future we'll have maps in the pool where we have different mercs being hired, which I think is actually pretty cool, so long as it's not you can hire this at the start of the game and it's a Murloc that does Ensnare, which has been very problematic in 2006 meta. Anyway, if they're communicating with us and listening to feedback, that should be totally fine and actually, frankly speaking, quite exciting. Finally, in one-on-one matchups, we want to address rifle pushes in human versus elf. I agree with that. That's, I think, the opposite of tone deaf. Rifle push quite strong in human against elf, quite difficult for elf, and to slightly alter the early game in human versus undead. I'm also very excited for this. There will also be a map pool rotation in this patch. One map per game mode will be rotated out and a new one rotated in. This doesn't necessarily affect the W3 Champions user-made ladder called W3 Champions, which you can find on w3champions.com. He can decide, together with the community most likely, on whether we will follow that map pool or not. And likewise all the tournaments around the world. This time around, all of the maps are made by our wonderful community map makers. Art. Here come the patch notes. So this is going to be on the PTR, which means public test region, I think. And that means it's not live yet, but if everything goes well, is bug-free, is good. Realm, okay, patch test Realm. I've only played PTRs for 15 years, guys, it's okay. I know these things. But yeah, here start the notes. So this will be live if it's bug-free and acceptable. In my experience, PTRs have rarely changed from PTR to live, except if it was really game-breaking bugs. But maybe this time will be different. Maybe if we play on it and we see like, wow, that balance change was crazy, we don't have to suffer through 6 months of it. But yeah, let's see. Raccoons no longer fade away unnaturally. Isn't it normal? They're quite shy. Oh, during their death animation in Reforged mode. Fixed an issue with the Northrend tree wall doodad where they appeared white on the minimap. Campaign resolved an issue with walking animation speed in certain campaign maps. Editor fixed a legacy issue where the summoned damage data field for feedback abilities was capped at 10. This did not affect competitive multiplayer, but was inconvenient for custom map makers. Actually, I felt capped at 10 sometimes in competitive multiplayer. Recently on YouTube we had that level 10 Tinker game, felt pretty capped. But anyway, let's go on. Unit balance. Human. Mountain King. Thunderclap cooldown increased from 6 to 7 seconds across all levels. Over the past year, the Mountain King's Thunderclap has been slightly overperforming. While meta changes in 1.1 have seen its usage reduced, it remains a very strong ability in team games. We want to reduce its uptime, which should also allow players to better micro against the MK by giving them more time to reposition between casts. Slightly overperform is, I think, a small understatement. The same, of course, can also be said for Warstomp and the one that's actually talked about very little, Frost Nova. Frost Nova is an insanely powerful spell with a hero that can supply himself with bonus mana. It's AoE, it's not a stun, but it's cast from great range and actually shuts down the DPS of an army by a lot as well. But that one is 125 mana, this one's 90. This MK has to also position himself a little riskily sometimes. But yeah, it's true that Thunderclap was used a lot against Crypt Fiends, and now not anymore. So it hasn't essentially been reduced, but against Orc it's only been increased. Rifleman, attack delay increased. So they will attack slightly slower, and quick maths, about 3.5% slower, is that correct? I think so. This change is focused around the human versus Night Elf Rifleman push. We don't inherently want the rifle push to completely disappear, nor for Riflemen to fall too far in power, but rather for the push to be slightly more equal between the attacker and the defender. We're adjusting the power on both sides, with this being the human side of the change. Paladin. Resurrection mana cost reduced to 150. Resurrection already has the restriction of waiting for a player's army to be dead before being cast, and Paladins often spend much of their mana casting Holy Light to keep units alive in the first place. Reducing the mana cost should help boost the desirability of this ultimate by reducing mana tension. I definitely agree that it reduces mana tension, and that people use Holy Light to keep their units alive. The difference, of course, with Resurrection is that it's situational, you can bring units back. I do agree that Resurrection, when I play human, I almost never have use for it, because I Holy Lighted my units. If they do the same thing to Bladestorm, I agree and understand, because Blade also never has mana when he gets to level 6. That shouldn't necessarily be a reason to give it nerf. Naga doesn't have mana when she reaches level 6 either. Doesn't mean all the ults should cost 50. But okay, I understand. Though Pala is quite strong already, so I don't know. But it's a rare circumstance. Paladin doesn't often get level 6. Orc, Shadowhunter. Big Bad Voodoo, mana cost reduced. Same thing with Paladin basically. They're always heal waving their units already, and therefore they won't have mana for this spell. But Big Bad Voodoo, basically, in all my pro games, and I got level 6 Shadow quite often, I very rarely took Big Bad Voodoo. And the times I took it, I regretted it more often than when I didn't take it, regretting its absence. So I think it's also a fair reduction, but of course Shadow is already a very strong hero as well. So if they're making a pass at every race, likewise, just to see more ults, because ults are like super cool and stuff, then maybe that's okay. I have to see the full picture before I know if this is going to be imbalanced or balanced or a good change or not. I'm not sure yet. Big Bad Voodoo, of course, is special because it offers invulnerability, which also means that it cleanses all positive and negative effects. As far as I know, it's the only hero that does so. That does mean you lose Bloodlust, Speed Scroll, and Spirit Link when you cast it, which can be really bad. But it also removes Fairy Fire, Slow, Curse, and Cripple. So, on that sense, it's quite useful again. It is potentially a very powerful spell, and to see it more often is cool. Farseer Earthquake, redacted, strike through. Earthquake duration reduced from 25 to 20 seconds. Building damage per second increased from 50 to 60. Nice. That's good for rat style. Maybe you can take it at level 6 if people are already control magicking your wolves anyway. So you can go triple chain lightning, double wolf, and then earthquake. Mana cost has also been reduced, and Earthquake no longer affects friendly units and structures. Whoa! Wow. So you can use it in fights. I didn't know that Earthquake affects friendly unit structures. You never damaged your own buildings, I don't think. But maybe it was like Allied Ancient of War move slowly inside Earthquake. This is pretty exciting. Farseer is a standard first hero. So we might see more Earthquake. So you can actually use it to slow down enemy units and you don't slow down yourself. It's quite good. This could actually be useful. Maybe too useful. I don't know. Let's see. And it has a mana cost which is pretty much the same as Chain Lightning. 5 mana more. Pretty crazy. With Earthquake no longer affecting friendlies, Farseer players now should have a new slowing option available to them for combat usage. Reducing the duration while keeping the overall damage roughly the same makes responding to a Farseer casting Earthquake more important and gives a little bit more consistency to how much damage it can inflict. I'm excited for this one. War Stomp cooldown increased per level from 666 to 777. That's very fair. Cooldown increase. So right now the stun duration is 3, 4, 5. And the cooldown was 6, which means that you had 3 second downtime of the stun, 2 second downtime, and 1 second downtime of the stun. 5 up, 1 down. Now it's 4, 3, 2, which is still very powerful. And they didn't change the duration. I had another idea in mind, which is that the radius increases, but the duration is 4, 4, 4. Instead of 3, 4, 5. But this is pretty much quite similar. Likewise, like Clap. I think both Stomp and Clap were very strong and kind of overpowered in their own way. And so this is also fair. I don't know if it's enough. TC second against Undead right now is nearly unplayable because you'll get nuked. It used to be... Oh no, that's not true. Farseer TC. Yeah, Stomp can be quite a big problem for Undeads. And it's very good against human if they don't go Mass Breaker, which they do right now. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that's fair. Reducing its damage would be less likely to lower the power. This change doubles the downtime of the ability at level 3. That's a pretty... Really? Wait, 3, 4, 7... Oh, at level 3. Yeah, from 1 to 2. Yeah. Additionally, this weakens the Tauren Chieftain's early game, allowing opponents to better push for map control. I thought they meant at level 3 TC. Yeah, it's true. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 1 is half of 2. So, okay, makes sense. Witch Doctor. Of course, Witch Doctor you generally see 1 per game, especially now that Shamans are meta in many matchups. So Sentry Ward gets used, but Stasis and Heal Ward are extremely rare. Funnily enough, because of the Walker moving outside of the Lodge and the Shaman buff 2 years ago, and now the Shaman's inclusion in 2 of the matchups in this game, versus human and versus elf, we have actually seen a smattering of Stasis Ward and Heal Ward against Night Elf in the hyper late game. I recently did it myself as well, and also in some pro games. So we do see more Witch Doctors than before, but it's still almost nothing. And you can't mass them like some other races master casters, or as you would with Shamans. So let's see what happens to them. I have actually not read it, even though you guys probably already read it, and I'm just babbling here. So let's take a look at it. Stasis Trap activation delay decreased from 10 to 9 seconds. So I think I actually made a command of Stasis Ward. Oh no, it's on my Discord. I will tell you how Stasis Ward works right now. Stasis traps take 0.35 seconds to cast. They then remain visible and inactive for 10 seconds, then become invisible and armed. While armed, they will detonate whenever an enemy unit walks within 250 AoE of them, stunning enemy units within 450 AoE, and destroying all allied stasis traps within that 450 AoE, whether they are armed or not. The stun lasts for 6 seconds on units and 2.5 seconds on heroes. They have a 150 second duration that starts as soon as it's cast, so it will be armed for up to 140 seconds. It stuns all enemy units in the AoE, not just the one that activated it. But because units walking into a trap will activate it from the edge of the AoE, usually it will only get a small number of units if you walk into them. I guess the most scary stasis is the one that goes unnoticed in the middle of the fight and then gets the whole army. So that's Stasis Trap, now that you know. So Stasis Trap activation delay goes down by 1 second, detection radius reduced from 250 to 175, and the activation time reduced from 10 to half a second. Oh, that's what I didn't say yet, and I didn't see that in the text. So it will reveal itself and then activate in just half a second instead of 1 second, which still gives someone a chance, if they're quick, to dispel it. Now, considering online ping, you pretty much, if you get caught by this, you have no time to dispel it anymore. And because it triggers from closer proximity, while still stunning at a 450 radius, it will actually do a more likely bigger result. So that's pretty cool, actually. I'm excited to try this Witch Doctor. Not a weird change. It's quite cool, actually. Witch Doctors are still fairly rare in high-level play. We want to tune up its Stasis Trap, and to do that we looked into how it could trap more units. Well, this is how. This is actually one of the coolest news we've heard in Warcraft Reforged so far. We're not even done yet, but this one feels the most with the finger on the pulse of Warcraft's meta and situation. There've been a number of disappointing updates, right? But this one is exciting. A smaller detonation ring combined with a shorter delay means that units will have less time to move through the area of effect before getting trapped, and will have less time to attack the totem when it reveals itself. Entangling Roots at level 3 now once again cast at 800 range instead of 600. While we like where the Keeper of the Grove's early game power is, we want to give this ability a little boost in the late game. Since armies grow in size, especially in team games, reinstating its old range should give the Keeper a little bit more ease of use in late game scenarios. So this is what it used to be. Because Keeper was so OP with all the buffs, they reduced it, and this was actually helpful and saw the Keeper disappear for the most part from the human Night Elf matchup. It's occasionally used against undead, but now very infrequently, while still being 100% almost usage against orc. So overall, it was still a fair change that allows you to threaten the Keeper more when he goes in for an entangle. But it's true that at level 5 Keeper or 6 or 7, entangle falls off. It does like almost 1,000 points of damage, but you have that same risk, and it's not... I think this is a great change, very smart, very fair. If all other things also are right, and it's not just a buff straight up to Keeper, who's already very popular. But I think it's a great one. We like where his early game power is. Yeah. Tranquility is very OP right now. Hope this is a nerf. The invulnerability time is removed, duration reduced, and healing It's a buff. It's a Tranquility buff. Tranquility is already very OP. In the past, let's read first before we shoot. In the past, we tried an experiment with Tranquility where we would give invulnerability to heroes when casting channeled spells. After testing it, we're moving away from this as we feel it dampens the personality of channeled abilities. Also, it was the least necessary for Trank because it's the only non-combat usable spell. You don't tornado out of a fight with no enemy in sight. You don't earthquake with no enemy in sight. Only Tranquility was non-combat usable. So for it to receive a combat immunity was actually pretty crazy, and it would have been more at home. Oh, Apu does do tornado out of a fight, okay. But it would have been more at home for a big bad voodoo, or a tornado, or an earthquake, or yeah. But mass teleport, no. But okay, it's good that it's gone. But then it does more bang for buck. I mean, actually it's less total heal, isn't it? But more. So you get, before you got 1 second guaranteed. Now you don't get 1 second guaranteed, but it's more healing. So anyway, if you cancelled, it almost doesn't matter if you cancel immediately. But if you, yeah, let's read first. This weakness is also what gives the abilities their character as finding the right time and place to maximize. Oh, it's 24 less total healing, but it's more bursty. Oh. Adding invulnerability clouds this, as it now acts more like a normal cast and forget spell, but with a little extra bonus on the end. It also acted as an anti-debuff mechanic, which was undesirable. Agree. While it could be made not to remove debuffs, that would act as a new special case that's different from regular invulnerability, the MOBA cleanse, and it would add new complexity for players to memorize. Yeah, we should keep Warcraft simple for new players, for all the new players. Instead, we want to further reduce the duration of the spell, but increase its power of the effect, giving greater benefit even when shut down by opponents, but also encouraging opponents to react quickly to the channel's ability. You think this is a nerf, Yavolim? Yeah, this part makes it a nerf. I still feel like it has an extremely short cooldown, which is a problem, as it is non-combat usable. I think that's a problem. I think the cooldown should have been increased by 15, 30 or 45 seconds. You get 576 total heal now instead of 600 and 3 seconds faster. Yeah, that's... This is a buff. This is a nerf. But it should have also had a... Oh, 1v1 is not campaign mode, Zandu? Oh, okay. So, in my late game fights against Night Elf, where they did 2 Tranquilities in one fight, that's, yeah, dude, okay. That was fine. Alright. Okay, so, Druid of the Claw, +1 damage again. So, just to share the history of Druid of the Claw, in the 2010 patch, where I played all of my tournaments and everything before it, you know, roughly like that, from that moment to present time, bears had been removed 4 damage, then given back 1 later, which is all like in the last 2 years. So they are actually still -3, and now they're going to be -2. So the Druid of the Claw is the new StarCraft bunker in Warcraft 3. +5 second build time, -5 second build time. But besides the memes, I think this is good. Bear +1 damage, I think it's fair. Bears look a little weak against undead. They're quite weak against orc for the most part. And they look a little weak against human as well. And even in mirror, there's been more bottom, but we do still see bears as well. But because it's mirror, it's fine. I think +1 is fine. Druid of the Talon. Previously, dots had their gold cost increased due to balance concern in the Orc Knight of matchup. The meta has now changed quite a bit since then, so we would like to reduce their cost back to its old value to better encourage their usage. I think this is fine. There were several reasons why druids fell out of the meta. Push and pull. They were pushed out because of fortified burrows at tier 2, which are still available, and the gold cost increase of Druid of the Talon, as well as the small nerf to Tinker and Demon Hunter. Orc Snakes also were buffed, though I don't know that that would have mattered without fortified defenses. And then there was the pool towards Keeper buff, Huntress buff, Moonwell buff, Archer buff, Sentinel buff, AP buff, Mountain Giant buff, and Archer buff, and Hippo Rider, I guess, and Alchemist buff. So there was push and pull. So I think it's because Night Elf is probably the weakest race right now. I think that's true by the stats, and by my feeling it's also like this, but I don't know if it's true. I think it's fair. Druids see rarely any play against undead. Almost none against human, except to punish an early expansion, which seems fair to be able to use them this way. And against Orc, we see them right now in the meta on Last Refuge specifically, the most. And Ced, the French Night Elf player, he's actually using them from time to time in the late game. Undead. Impale can no longer be interrupted. Units knocked airborne can now take damage and be attacked. Wow. Wow. So they actually got... Let's see if this works bug-free, okay? Because Impale actually made units not a unit for a while, which meant that disjointed... it meant disjointed Crypt Fiend shots. So if you did a Lich attack on a hero that took an armor debuff, and then like 10 Fiend shots were in the air, and you're like, let's settle the deal, let's seal the deal, and we take this full down. You impale the TC, and suddenly he takes no damage from the Fiends. This is a huge buff, because he could also be interrupted, and you could even self-interrupt, cast all of the mana, and do none of the impale. This is like Stomp now, yeah. 2 new data variables in the map editor. Airborne units vulnerable, uninterruptible. This is not a sentence, but this is like a direct interfacing by the Blizzard devs to all smart programmers out there. If you, programmer, you understand then this. Okay, but cool. Carrion Beetle's mana cost has been increased. Now spawns 2 beetles at a time, up from 1. And maximum beetles increase from 5 to 6. Okay, so you can have 6. There are UI options in the world editor. Yeah. Okay, so it means... Well, I don't know what it means. Okay, so you summon 3 times, still costs... No, it's not actually consistent, is it? Used to cost 150. It's 5 mana cheaper. 6 beetles is 5 mana cheaper than 5 beetles. No, 15 mana cheaper. Okay. The being whose might cannot be matched is getting a tune-up in this patch. Previously, the Impale was hard-coded to be interruptible and make units hit by it invulnerable. Unlike other channeled abilities, giving a move order to a command group containing a Crypt Lord casting Impale would cause it to move and cancel. Yup. This happened recently in my favor by an enemy Crypt Lord. Additionally, making airborne units vulnerable no longer causes units to lose attack focus. Airborne units are still untargetable by spells though. This was left in place out of an abundance of caution for introducing unintended bugs. That makes sense. I remember Diablo banging someone into the wall in Heroes of the Storm, and then someone else is like hooking him, and before you know it, it's like star shooters. They're flying off the side of the map. Well, I would play it now, but I don't want to ruin the YouTube video. Speaking of bugs, our buff to Carrion Beetles should greatly encourage some new experimentation with this rather rarely picked ability. Now the Crypt Lord can bring about a swarm of summons much earlier and with less mana invested to either scout opponents or make early game pushes. Undead can finally cheese! We will be monitoring if this proves too much of an issue in the early game, but we feel these changes overall give the ability a much stronger personality. Animate Dead. Okay, I think that's fair. Just like Pala and Shadow, there's never enough mana for an Animate Dead. And when you cast it, it kind of sucks. Developers notes, we hear rather frequent feedback that this ability is one of the lower tier ones. Directly buffing it too much at this time seemed unwise, as the Death Knight itself is quite core to the Undead's best strategies. I mean, this is a pretty big decrease. You still probably won't take it though. You need Coil 3, you probably want Aura 2 at least, and then you could have Death Pact or Animate Dead. Well, let's see. I think it's cool, like, let Undead have some fun with ults finally. And buffing it further would reinforce this. However, we do think his mana cost could be reduced. Okay. Oh! Minus 10 health again. This was actually a pretty big deal, wasn't it, for Undead? This has been a significant buff in their creeping in all matchups and their harass against humans specifically. This is a pretty damn big nerf. It looks small, but it's huge. I think it's a good change. Undead by W3 Champions Masters looks like the best race right now, with above 50% win rates in every category, in every matchup, and 58 or so against human. So this seems fair. At the highest level, every peasant killed during a fast expo is extremely valuable. And battles, it is as well phrased, are often won by inches rather than miles. Returning skeletal warriors to their previous health state should help humans and other races to a degree to stabilize better in the early game. So Ritual Dagger is garbage. Total hit points regen. Oh! That's a pretty big deal. 350 instead of 250. And Crypt Lord synergy. It may no longer be a meme dagger, guys. WTF is a ritual dagger. Go try it, man. We'll still talk about what is missing from the update. What I think they should have touched upon but didn't. But for now, let's continue. Neutral, Beastmaster. Summon bear mana is now 100 instead of 125. Huh. Yeah, bear's the worst, because it's so expensive. I don't think this will be a problematic buff. I think this is cool and nice for request days as well. A level 2 Beastmaster starting at full mana that constantly uses their summons when off cooldown would now be able to summon one additional Quillbeast when paired with summoned Quillbeast, or an additional bear when paired with Hawk. Pit Lord, a unit afflicted by Doom, now has its movement speed slowed by 50. And 2 new data variables were added. Movement speed factor, maximum creep level. The Pit Lord has come quite far in recent times, becoming something more than just a super niche peak for styling on opponents. With looking over ultimate abilities, we want to give this one a little more of a boost to reduce the ability of an opponent to run away an afflicted unit to somewhere more secluded or even favorable. We also surfaced a long hidden variable that controls the maximum creep level that can be afflicted with Doom. While this doesn't impact competitive multiplayer, it should be helpful for custom game creators. Firelord Volcanic eruption waves decreased from 8 to 5. Wave interval, so there was actually like 8 eruptions but never really complete the cast, right? Wave interval reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, so 5 waves every 3 seconds instead of 8 every 5. Increased building damage from factor 2 to 3. No longer affects friendly units and structures! They gave it the heal spray treatment! You can stand in a volcano. You face Ragnaros! No. Firelord... What does Ragnaros say? Die, insect! We believe the main issue with Volcano is that it is by fire be purged. And too balanced around its maximum damage output, which is unrealistic. These changes reduce the overall damage potential of the Volcano in exchange for being much more reliable and hitting much faster. Removing the ability for it to affect friendly units should also make Volcano more viable in combat. No more praying to Ragnaros for the flaming boulders to miss one's own units. Or Ragnaros himself, where he's like trying to juggle magma and lava balls and accidentally hits himself. Ouch! And stops channeling. Cool. It only took 18 years. Wait, did Firelord come out immediately with TFT or later? Was it immediate or 17 years? But yeah, let's go seismic. You know what I mean? Much later, right? Let's go seismic. Tornado random wonder behavior removed. Mana cost reduced from 200 to 125. Duration reduced from 40 to 20 seconds. Imagine channeling Tornado for 40 seconds. Close building damage per second increased by double. Wow. Far building damage double. Much like other channels, we believe a main issue was it took too long. The mana cost was reduced. She's an intensive mana user. It could greatly crowd out the opportunity to cast this ultimate spell. Players should always feel in charge of their units, and when their units are given commands, it should be followed to the letter. The random wonder, while visually rather cool, goes against this principle and made this spell require too much micro. True? So now you can actually shift click it probably. Don't touch Naga anymore and it goes exactly how you want it. Because before you had to like constantly click because it was moving like a critter. Blue Dragon Whelp, Blue Drake and Blue Dragon. Added a passive that shows it slows. Items. Ooh, this is going to be a big one. So, first of all, the hero section is over. Alchemist didn't get changed. Nor do I necessarily say that it should be, but it didn't get changed. Dark Ranger, Tinker, Panda. Which I think is probably fine. So, Potion of Greater Mana should be nerfed. What? Oh. What? What? It's buffed! Huh? Oh, wait. I thought this was already the case. 300 to 250 buff. Restored reduced? I thought they restored the reduction. No. I was thinking about the Twisted Meadows Pendant of Energy. That is now only giving 250 permanent bonus mana instead of 300. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, I prefer when we are introduced with changes in our lives, I prefer to panic first, then read. So, yeah. Cool. In Glendo is pretty hard, yeah. This is good. This is good. And mana restored reduced from 150 to 125, but the gold cost reduced from 200 to 150. Huh. That does mean you can't use it as easily to sponsor a Bladestorm anymore. And by the way, where the hell is the Bladestorm mana reduction? My blade never has 200 mana. The story that they say for Keeper or not Keeper, no, not Crypt Lord, for Death Knight and Shadow. Where's my Blade Master Bladestorm reduction? I'm like 1 mana when I get level 6. And now a mana pot doesn't even give you 1 Bladestorm. Okay. Rein in the power. Yeah. Just double the size of Bladestorm range, lol. Yes. Red Drake Egg removed from the default 5 charged item drop list. Blue Drake Egg is now a level 5 charged item and it summons a Blue Drake. Oh, it's gonna slow. It's true, Red Drake really sucks. It's true. You can either get Rock Golem or Scroll of Restoration, Potion of Restoration, right? Am I crazy here? Furbolgs or Red Drake. which is just bad. So this is strong. Talisman. Oh, no more Furbolgs. You now get a Furbolg tracker. Whoa. That's the Fairy Fire dude, right? Isn't that Fairy Fire dude? Among the level 5 charged items, there are clearly 2 less desirable items. Furbolgs and Red Drake. True. It's true. Does he have Stomp, the Furbolg tracker? I think not. Oh. I thought it's Fairy Fire and Rejuve. Oh, and Snare? Really? Keep reading. Oh, keep reading. The Furbolg tracker brings Fairy Fire. Oh yeah. These 2 units now align with the Rock Golem and Fellstalker by providing utility in addition to damage and tanking. Yeah, that's good. That's cool, man. That's cool. Scroll of Resto now only gives 150 health. Thank God. It was so overpowered. I didn't often get it, but when I did, I smiled. Yeah. Good. True. True. No more Scroll of GG, just Scroll of Well Played. Scroll of Animate Dead is gone. Scepter of Mastery is now a level 6 charge that takes permanent control, has 1 charge. It's Charm. Scepter of Charm. Cool. Scroll of Res is removed. Scepter of Avarice. So greedy. Instantly kill an enemy unit. Oh, it's Transmute. Ah, it's a weak version of Transmute. Yeah, now everyone can take enemy workers and blood castle them. As with level 5 chargeables, there were 2 that seemed weaker. These scrolls only really worked when a battle was well underway with losses mounting. That means their worth was hard to gauge, while the summon items have far more flexibility. Keeping with the theme of charged items on this tier being ultimates, we decided to bring in an analog for Transmute and Charm, which should be more directly comparable to bringing in a summoned unit by instantly denying one of your opponent's units. Inferno Stone drop level increased to a level 7 artifact. That's the second time I've heard items referred to as artifacts. Lucky artifacts, someone told me. Engraved Scale is a new charged level 6 item that summons a blue dragon spawn overseer. I guess they're gonna say what it does. Often cited as one of the most powerful items, and the focal reason of level 6 charged items being too imbalanced is the Inferno Stone. We move it up a tier and we put something else. Blue dragon spawn overseer acts as a kind of defensive parallel to the Furbolg Ursa warrior by providing an endurance aura and having the passive evasion ability built in. Breath of Frost also gives it a good area of effect option similar to other summon. Yeah, I don't see this being overpowered at all. Good thing that the Burning Rage one-time stun Inferno is gone, and we now have evasion, attack speed, movement speed, and slow on a tanky. It sounds stronger than Inferno. Non-ladder transportation ship. No longer unloads instantly. Now has a delay like Zeppelins. Level reduced. Hey, why non-ladder? I want ships in ladder. Let's get all Warcraft 2 up in here. It's not used in any current. Zing! Current ladder maps. We want to update this unit for nautically inclined. You naughty claw map makers. I played one of these maps with a nautical map. Yeah. In a number of community tournaments, there have been some promising usage of ships as a map feature, but they could use some tuning. The current stats for the ship are geared towards usage in single player, which makes it a bit overtuned. Yeah, oh my god, it was so insane. The 1500 health, now 900, light, 2 charges, stock delay from 0 to 120, so you can't get it right away. Stock replenish interval decreased from 110 to 30, same as Zeppelin's. Oh yeah. Mercenary camp updates. We want to address within this balance patch an area that will open up a bit more map design options for our map making community. Merc camps provide a way to both adjust how matchups play out, as well as provide extra map variety. Okay, that's cool. However, only the Lordaeron Summer camp has seen widespread use in the competitive scene. We have looked at all of the mercenary camps and adjusted their unit offerings to bring them more in line with within the Lordaeron Summer mercenary camp, while also offering differing options of units and abilities provided. Many units had their cost and availability time adjusted. We're trying out 2 availability times to unify merc camps. So there's the short 120, the medium 220, and the long 440. It's likely that further adjustments to unit offerings or the unit costs and availability will be needed, so we're interested in player mapmaker thoughts on these changes. Unchanged. Used to be Geomancer, Burning Archer, and Wildkin, now also Frost Revenant. Shadow Dancer, Verbal Shaman, and Thunder Lizard. Satyr, Shadow Dancer, still Dark Troll, Berserker, Shadow Priest, Giant Wolf. Ooh, the Roar. Predator. Centaur Outrider, Harpy Rogue, Medicine Man, and Harpy Wind Witch. Now, Quillbore Hunter, Centaur Archer, I think it has Searing Arrow, and Harpy Wind Witch. No more Medicine Man with Heal Ward. That's good. And no more Flyer. That was problematic. Good changes, man. Good changes. Fell Beast, Blood Fiend, Voidwalker, Skeletal Orc Grunt, Draenei Darkslayer, Murloc Flesh Eater, Sludge Monstrosity, Satyr Shadow Dancer, Spitting Spider, Barbed Arachnithid. This was like 1 food. It was really bad. Will be Ice Troll Berserker. They had Magnetor Warrior, Tuskar Healer, Unbroken. I don't know all of these. Lord Fall, unchanged. Null Overseer, Ogre Mauler. Good. This was OP. Command Aura was so OP. Muck Column, Trapper, Berserker. Good. Good changes. As long as this Trapper is not available immediately. Murgle Snarecaster. Oh no. That's the Trapper, isn't it? Makrura Snapper, Deepseer Turtle, Skeletal Orc, Storm. Oh, this one has Chain Lightning and Bloodlust. Murgle Bloodgill. Village Fall, Kobold. This is 1 food. Oh, this one is maybe 2 or 3. I think this is the 3 food stunner, the Basher. Oh yeah, the Trapper's gone. Oh, good. That's true. No more Trapper. That's OP, man. Only Orcs should have Raiders. Oh yeah. Assassin. Wanna mess someone up? Initial stock delay 220. Good. This one was really strong. 3 food. Shadow Meld. Only 250 gold. Initial stock delay to 222nd. Blood Fiend. Yeah, I don't know him. Okay, cool. I show you. You can pause if you like, yeah? Will no longer cease to... Makruda Deepseer creeps will no longer sometimes cease to react to enemy units when being attacked. Okay. Items can no longer be destroyed by projectiles while in a hero's inventory. So when archers shot at an item and it's mid-flight and then you pick it up, it can disappear. 1v1 map pool rotation. Removed Dalaran, added Brightwater Oasis. This one contains a new interesting map feature. Each side of this map will have 1 Goblin Merchant and 1 Goblin Laboratory, but each will spawn in one of 2 locations. This adds an interesting wrinkle to adjusting one's creeping and attack routes based on map conditions. So this is like the Nullwood random spawn decider. These locations are linked and symmetric, so there shouldn't be balance concerns around one player having a shorter distance to a shop than the opposing player. Okay, let's see. No more Phantom Grove. Now Circle Fallen Hero. I do not know this map, but I'm curious. Yeah, screw this map. Don't know this map. TS now has critters, undead buff, and human buff. Green null camps near player. Critters for side. Green null camps near player start locations on Twisted now have an additional level 1 null, and the null brute now drops a level 1 power up item. Agi +1. That's nice. Twisted has very boring 3-1 camp, and you needed 3 3-1 camps to level up to level 2, which are super far away, and they didn't even offer tomes. So that's pretty cool. A little bit more rewarding. It also hits a breakpoint where a single hero can reach level 3 by creeping the null camp and 2 yellow camps outside the front of each. Previously 2 start locations could do this, but the other 2 would result... Yeah, Twisted is imbalanced, man. Echo added extra trees and doodads behind the southwest expansion to address instances of player units getting stuck in unpathable locations after using Scroll of Time Portal. Yep, this happened. But with Force of Nature he got out, didn't he? I think Loliot did this. It was so funny. Filled in various pathing holes around the outer edges of the map. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sanctuary, I don't know. Twilight Ruins, I don't know. Team colored health bars are no longer on by default for new users. That's good. Work in progress. Good job. Keep up the good work. I agree with this. Yeah, really cool. What did we not see that we hoped to see? I would say I would have liked to see small mountain giant changes. A lot of MG are almost unplayable against, especially when you have lag, but even so. MG 4+. Would have liked to see some changes to MG that makes them less feast or famine. Obviously, this is a balance patch, so we will not talk about UI and stuff. Pit Lord Cleave DPS. Yeah, I think that's true. Pit Lord Cleave DPS seems too high. But then we don't see Pit Lord that much, so... Yeah, against Orc, obviously. Let's see, Farseer, Blade, Shadow, TC, MK, Archmage, Blood Mage, Paladin, Keeper, Demon, Warden, Possum, Crypt Lord, Dreadlord, DK Lich. Maybe Nova should have been nerfed if Stomp and Clap did. I don't have any solutions regarding breakers but maybe like tiny breaker nerf. Because they're magic immune and boring, and they ruin human versus human. Witch Doctor buff is exciting. But yeah, I think not too many egregious things are missing that I can think of, really. This is really exciting. This has been the best news outside of community development for a long time. I'm curious to try this. When is PTR playable?